Hello everyone, myself Kanchan Sinha from Sri Shankaracharya Mahavidyalaya Junwani Bhilai. Today I am going to present the topic Hearing Impairment, which is from AMET 4 semester, Education from Differentially Abled. Hearing impairment is two words, hearing and impairment. Hearing refers to the reception of sound by the ear, its analysis, and its transmission to the brain. Impairment is any loss or abnormality of psychological, physiological, or anatomical structure or function. Thus, the total word hearing impairment is a broad term that includes both deaf and hard of hearing. The term deaf is used to describe a person who has an intense hearing loss which cannot benefit from any intensification of sound. Hard of hearing is a term used for people who may experience mild to severe hearing loss. These are people who may benefit from amplification. Hearing impairment is not only the handicap of not being able to hear, it encompasses emotional problems in socialization, and even in learning. Hearing impairment impacts development in speech, language, education, and social integration. Characteristics of hearing impairment. First, abilities. The abilities are they are artistic, creative, and have poor language skills. Emotional characteristics, they are impulsive, they are hyperactive, they are self-concept, they have over or under reactions. Social characteristics, they are curious, they are friendly, they are good observer, and they are disinhibitions. Assessment of hearing loss. In the absence of the audiometer, the following simple test may be administered. That is, the noisemaker test, whisper test, calling name test, watch tick test, ballpen click test, and command test. Significant observation during assessment are watches face, especially the mouth of the speaker when talked to. Makes use of more natural gestures, signs, movement to express himself. Shows strained expression when listening. Cocks ear, tilts head at the angle towards the source of the sound. Pay more attention to vibration and vibrating objects. Often ask for repetition of questions or statements. Fails to respond immediately. Has blank facial expression when talked to. Often unable to follow oral directions or instructions. Is less responsive to noise, voice, or music. Shows marked imitative at work and play. Has difficulty associating concrete with abstract ideas. Has poor general learning performance. This slide shows how we hear a sound. First, sound waves enter our outer ear and travel through ear canal to our eardrum. Secondly, our eardrum vibrates with the incoming sound and sends the vibration to three tiny bones in our middle ear. Next, the bone in our middle ear amplify the sound vibration and send them to our inner ear or cochlea. The sound vibration activate tiny hair cells in the inner ear, which in turn release neurochemical messengers. Your auditory nerve carries this electrical signal to the brain, which translates it into a sound we can understand. Classification of hearing impairment is done on different bases. First base is according to the age at onset of deafness. According to this, it is of two types, congenital deaf and adventitiously deaf. Congenitally deaf, that means they born deaf, and adventitiously deaf means they born with normal hearing and became deaf through accident or illness. Next, classification is according to language development. First in this type is prelingually deaf and second is postlingually deaf. Prelingually deaf means born deaf or lost hearing before speech and language were developed. Postlingually deaf means lost hearing after development of spontaneous speech and language. Next classification is according to degree of hearing loss. First classification is slight deaf, means their degree of hearing loss is 27 to 40 decibel. Mild means their degree of hearing loss is 41 to 55 decibel. In moderate, 56 to 70 decibel hearing loss. In severe, 71 to 90 decibel hearing loss. And lastly, the profound. In this, the degree of hearing loss is 91 dB or more. This slide also shows the hearing loss or what is the decibel of normal hearing, mild hearing, moderate hearing, severe and profound. In this graph, we see that normal hearing ranges from 0 to 15 dB. Slight loss of hearing is 60 to 25 dB. Mild hearing loss is 26 to 40 dB. Moderate loss 41 to 55 decibel. Moderately severe is 56 to 70. Severe is 70 to 90 decibel and profound is more than 90 decibel. Profound. People with profound hearing loss will struggle to hear even the loudest sound, including a jet engine or a pneumatic drill. In the case of severe loss, severe hearing loss could mean struggling to hear a dog barking, a baby crying, most conversation, or loud traffic. Mild hearing loss means a person might struggle to hear some conversation, the sound of a clock, tickling, or bird song. And lastly, the normal hearing range include sounds as quiet as trap dripping, leaves rustling on a tree, in the wind, or the sound of footsteps. Now, next classification is according to place of impairment. In this, number 1 is conductive hearing loss. Second is sensory, neural or perceptive deafness or hearing loss. And third is mixed hearing loss. First, conductive hearing loss is due to interference in the transmission of sound to and through the sense organ, that is the outer or middle ear. A conductive loss refers to a decrease in sound caused by a problem in the outer or middle ear. Usually affects all frequencies of hearing. A hearing aid generally helps a person with a conductive hearing loss. Second type, sensory neural. It is due to the abnormality of the inner ear or the auditory nerve or both. A sensory neural loss refers to a problem located in the inner ear or along the nerve pathway between the inner ear and the brain. It results from damage to the inner ear. This loss can range from mild to profound and often affects certain frequencies more than others. Sounds are often distorted even with a hearing aid. Last one is mixed hearing loss. As the name suggests, this loss is due to the both reason, either from conductive loss and a sensory neural loss occurring at the same time. Sometimes it is also called as flat loss. Causes of conductive deafness. There are several causes. In external ear, the causes may be wax, presence of fungus, otitis externa, foreign bodies, polyps, myringitis, stenosis, atresia, or tumor. The causes of conductive deafness in middle ear is congenital defects of the eardrum and ossicles, traumatic, that is barotrauma, rupture of eardrum or of the base of the skull due to inflammation, due to tuberculosis and syphilitis, due to neoplasm, or due to osteosclerosis. This slide shows the causes of sensory neural deafness. There are various causes of sensory neural deafnesses. Some local cause may be congenital, trauma, infections, tumors, diseases, and ototoxic drugs. In trauma, it may be due to head injury, surgical injury, loud sounds, acute or chronic acoustic trauma. In the infection, it may be mumps, syphilis, tuberculosis, meningitis, etc. The drugs, ototoxic drugs include streptomycin, neomycin, quinine, etc. The general causes of sensory neural deafnesses are presbycusis, CVS, CNS, avitominosis, smoking, alcoholism. The important one is presbycusis, which means is a progressive bilateral symmetrical age-related sensory neural hearing loss. It is also known as age-relating hearing loss. Another causes is psychogenesis deafness. It is of two types, functional and malingering. Functional means it is due to emotional cause, but the patient is not aware of the cause. Malingering, no organic or psychological cause. The patient is aware that he is pretending to be deaf for personal gain. This slide shows the figure of the ear where conductive and sensorimotor neural impairment occurs. The conductive, as we know earlier, that it is due to outer ear or middle ear. The sensory neural is mainly the cause is inner ear infection. The sensory neural hearing loss occur in inner ear, that is in the cochlear region, often called nerve loss. Most common, 95% of hearing loss cases, it is may be caused by aging, noise exposure, disease, hereditary. Signs and symptoms of hearing impairment are the child may experience frequent ear infections, delayed in their language development, difficult to identify or locate certain sounds. Watch TV at a really high volume. Behavioral issues, displaying inattentiveness and disruptive behavior. Sound different or not speak clearly. Vocabulary may consist many words that are often missing endings. This slide shows about the causes of hearing impairment and deafness. There are various causes. The first type is prenatal cause. This include German measles, excessive alcohol intake, and toxins. Second is perinatal cause. It is due to trauma during delivery. And secondly, congenital defects, that is closed outer ear, undeveloped inner ear parts. Third type is postnatal. It includes ear infections, severe illness, accidents, noise pollution, over medication, physical abuse, poor ear hygiene, and old age. During infancy, the cause of hearing impairments may be heredity and genetic. Most common causes are cleft palate, cytomegalovirus, herpes simplex virus, Down syndrome, hyperbilirubinemia syphilis, toxoplasmosis, Treacher Collins syndrome, Usher syndrome, and Waardenburg syndrome, meningitis, otis media, and noise. Later in life, the cause of hearing impairment may be noise, which is the major contributor to hearing loss in teenagers and adults, and can be prevented. Males are more likely to acquire noise induced hearing loss as they engage in activity such as city or freeway traffic, hair dryer, mowing the lawn, riding a motorcycle, race car or dance club, firecracker, and all sound levels 85 and are considered unsafe. The protective measures for deafness are prevention of congenital deafness, prevention of viral and bacterial infection. The first one, that is prevention of congenital deafness, it may include genetic counseling and prenatal diagnosis. Pregnant women are prohibited to use toxic drugs and to avoid viral infection when pregnant. In prevention of viral and bacterial infection, it includes measles, parotitis, epidemic meningitis, otitis media, rhinitis, etc. Another protective measures for deafness are to keep favorable mental status and avoid overtiredness. Next is to avoid exposure to noise for a long time. That is to lower level of sound source, to decrease exposure time, and to use ear protector. Next protective measure is to protect from toxic deafness. To understand family history and susceptibility and to control suitable doses and course treatment. The hearing impairment, how it impacts on child. Hearing impairment can cause three major impacts on the child. Number one is it may cause a delay in communication skill, speech and language development. Second, as a result, this language deficit would cause learning problems and poor academic achievement. And third, social isolation and poor self-concept may also be caused by lack of communication skill and poor social interaction. Treatment of hearing impairment. It can be treated in various ways. First of all, the conductive deafness can be treated by using hearing aids. Sensory neural deafness. For sudden deafness, we can use or doctors can use steroids, vasodilator, vitamin B2, B6, B12, vitamin A, C and E, and also carbogen, that is 5% CO2 with 95% oxygen, to improve blood circulation in the cochlea. Another treatment for chronic deafness is hearing aids, cochlear implantation. Conversation should be slow, clear. Auditory training and lip reading can be done. Next is removal of earwax using hearing aids and cochlear implantation. Small electronic devices can be used for hearing impairment, and another treatment can be aided by speech therapy. Now the question arises, how should deaf students be taught? They can be taught by oral approach, that is, use of residual hearing development of speech and speech reading. Second, manual approach, that is, use of sign language, finger spelling, pantomime, and natural gesture. Third, total communication or simultaneous method. This is combination of above two methods. This slide shows about ASL, that is American Sign Language. You can see in the figure the shape of the hand palm as A, B, C, D, E, F and up to Z. Which shape shows which alphabet? This American Sign Language is a complete complex language that employs signs made by moving the hands combined with facial expression and posture of the body. It is the primary language of many North Americans who are deaf and is one of several communication options used by people who are deaf or hard of hearing. Now, next question arises that what should deaf students be taught? They can be taught in general education, subject matter content, that is English, maths, science, PE, etc. In traditional areas of education of the deaf, that is special curriculum features for the deaf, are rhymes, auditory training, speech and language. What should be the instructional strategies for hearing impaired student? The sitting should be circular. Desk arranged should be in rows. Repeat the question to the student. Teamwork for assignments. Assist the student for doing their work. Transcript of audio information is very important. Avoid interruption because at that time they will not able to know what you are telling. Next is visual information must be given and the teacher should be flexible. What should be the teaching strategies for hearing impairment? First strategy, get the attention before signing. Keep your hand and face towards the deaf while speaking. Make sure your signs and finger spelling are clearly visible. Adjust your signs according to the level of the deaf. Use flashcards, charts, models, etc. to teach the student. We can communicate with the hearing impairment student by the sign language continuum. This is the sign language continuum is non-verbal communication, and in this natural gesture, facial expression are used by the deaf without formal education. Sign language concept oriented syntax is there. It is most important concept. Signed English follows English syntax used by hearing persons who learn sign language. Finger spellings, letters of the alphabet through hand signs. And simultaneous method, speech in conjunction with manual communication. The nature of the language of signs are, it is a language of natural gestures and pantomimes. Signs are made within the signing area, top of the head and just above the waist. The sight line is an imaginary line between the signer and the observer. The body of the signer greatly aids in manual sign, tense, tone, gender. When the basic sign is initialized, it attains a special meaning. Reduplication of signs denotes plurality of continuous action. Signs are directional. Synonyms are signed lightly or forcefully according to the intent of the word. Antonyms are signed mostly in reverse of the synonyms. Very large signs are equivalent to shouting.